Welcome to Roots. Now, if you're thinking, hang on a minute, who's this new face and voice I'm hearing? Well, hello there. I'm Jenni Falconer and I am here jumping on board for season 2. So tickets, please.
I first went with Rod before I had children, so it was all very romantic, and you just like those movies kind of whisked away in safari outfits across the Serengeti. And we said when we do have children, we must take them back. I was in some fashion shows and I didn't know anybody, and I remember walking around the streets, being alone for the first time, and then just sort of trusting the adults that were with us and the clients that they were going to sort of take care of us. But it was daunting but exciting. It's an iconic train, of course, and so luxurious. And it's black tie in the evening. And it was funny because the note in a room was, if you don't desire to adhere to the dress code of black tie for this evening, you're more than welcome to stay in your carriage and we'll serve you there.
Dodge the traffic and dive into a good book. When you travel by train with LNER, it's freedom all the way. Now, today on the show, I'm joined by a guest she's done it all. She's a model, a professional photographer, a talk show host, a special police constable. She's also, by the way, married to one of the greatest rock stars around. Please welcome Penny Lancaster.
What a lovely introduction. Thank you so much.
There's quite a long list of things you've done. It was hard to condense it. I know, that's it. I mean, no wonder you've written a book. There's quite a lot to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. The book's been out since September 25th, and I've had such lovely response. I mean, just people reaching out and sort of saying, it was so good to hear you talking about dyslexia or about the assault when you were younger. I went through something very similar and I haven't been able to talk about it. And hearing your story, I think I'm going to go get help. And that's hence why it's called Someone Like Me, because the book's just not about me. It's about the journeys and the stories and the incidents and events that I've encountered along my way that so many other women have encountered. And I think when you go through some of the more traumatic times in life, you feel so alone. It's so lovely to hear other people having gone through it. And then you think, okay, so I'm not alone, and I can connect to that and I can relate. And how did she cope with it? And how did she find her way through? And so I found it really rewarding.
Yeah, I mean, it is such a lovely book as well. I mean,
Thank you.
it's really nice as well that you have been so open throughout as well. So we will be talking more about it. But first, Penny, we're on the way to Edinburgh, which we'll come back to in a bit. But I just want to make sure you're comfy. You've got everything, got your tickets, got everything you need.
Yeah, choo-choo.
You're one of those people that has everything kind of in order.
Yeah, I'm the one that's the organised one. So I have this like pouch, it's an A4 pleather. Look, it's the colour of the old UK passport, that burgundy colour with a zip, with a tag on it in case it gets lost, and all the travel documents, everyone's passports, the kids, all goes in there. So it's
I'm so pleased I am not the only one that does this.
Someone's got to look after you.
Someone's got to play mum.
Yeah.
And it's the mums.
Yeah.
It always seems to be like
Follow me.
I know. I do feel like quite bossy sometimes.
I know.
Do you ever wonder as well, how would you guys cope if I was not here?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, where's mum? What's she doing? And everyone comes to me.
But my husband's always like, we would actually cope fine without you, but I just don't believe it.
It's like, go on then, you go ahead. Do you take the reins?
Let's see exactly how you get on. So we're going to talk about so much, but first I'd like to start. I want to go back to when you were younger, and I want to talk about traveling for you as a kid and where you went. Where did you go on holiday?
Well, I distinctly remember in the school holidays during Easter, we would take a car trip down to Bournemouth, and it was just sort of one of those iconic English beach towns, and the weather was always amazing, and the Easter eggs that we would travel with in the back of the car were either crumpled or melted by the time we got down there, but it didn't matter, and it was just always very fond memories of going in the hotel and looking at the itinerary and what entertainment events were going on, and it was always very exciting. I think the first ever time we flew to a resort was in Mallorca. And I remember my parents entering into all the competitions. And I think most kids would probably go, oh my God, it's so embarrassing. Mum, Dad, stop. But actually, we loved it. because they would win all the competitions and everyone, would like free drinks and like first in the queue to a buffet bar or whatever it was,
I
you
love
know.
all
And
that.
it was
All
I
the
loved it.
activities at the hotel.
And then we got to stay up late, because there was like a dance competition or there was something, and they just sit quietly. So we're like, okay, we just pretend we're not here.
Yeah. Well, these are kind of places I think we went on trips like that where they'd have they play the birdie dance at night. You'd all stand and dance around, and everyone would but it was for families because there were
Yes.
adults and children.
Yeah.
Everyone would get on board. And then there'd be like fashion shows and all these different elements.
Yeah, there was one evening and it was like a Roman night themed, and the hotel would bring extra white sheets to the bedrooms, and so we would sort of improvise, and they would sort of bring things that we could make a wreath around our head and tie things around our waist, and everybody would come down for dinner dressed in the hotel bed sheets. It was quite funny.
I love that. You don't go on holidays like that nowadays, do you? I'd love to see you and
Similar.
Rod.
We do dress up. We still dress up, but but yeah, it's one of my first dates with Rod. I thought it was an initiation test, and he said all the guys are going to dress as girls and all the girls will dress as guys. So I had all the guys lining up to my room, trying on my dresses, and I was doing everyone's makeup, and the guys were like going out buying wigs, and we even did something similar for Rod's 80th birthday recently. So yeah, the guys are used to putting the heels on.
I've seen one of the photos like that in your book, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. But these kind of trips on holidays, they do just create amazing memories. I think that's one of the greatest things about family holidays. If you do something like that, it sticks in your mind.
It does. It's like a nostalgia, and it's that warm, cozy feeling. And then when you have family of your own, you want to be able to pass on those traits and those memories and those traditions. And it's like kind of it's lovely to be able to do that.
Do you holiday as a family unit still to this day?
Yes, it's getting trickier because the family's growing.
And they're all so spread out
Yes.
now.
Well, Rod and I will manage to get away, even if it's like for a weekend, just for us to have a little romantic trip, the two of us. So that's lovely. And then in the school holidays, at the end of the month, we're heading off to meet Rod. He's out on tour. So Alistair and Aidan, my brother actually and his wife, they're joining us. So we're sort of part work. So we see a couple of Rod's shows, and then we sort of hang on towards the end and get a little holiday out of that. And then I'm looking at next summer, all the kids and their kids, so the grandkids and everyone all coming together. So it's it's like a mission.
Takes a bit of planning.
Certainly does.
But it's worth it when you get it done. I mean, traveling has changed for you so much, and it's evolved so much over the years. I mean, you're saying that, you first went on holiday to Bournemouth, and now, you're going on these incredible trips, traveling, following Rod as well, wherever he's on tour, and also just going on incredible traveling moments yourself. And when you were modeling, you kind of, you started traveling on your own for the first time?
Yeah, when I was 17, I left the London College of Fashion and I joined an agency. And one of my first jobs was to travel to Milan. And I was in some fashion shows and I didn't know anybody. And I remember walking around the streets being terrified, being alone for the first time, and then just sort of trusting the adults that were with us and the clients that they were going to sort of take care of us. But it was daunting, but exciting, getting on a plane without mum and dad and just navigating your way through. And I think it's a good exercise for all youngsters to kind of get out there and spread their wings.
Yeah, how old do you think you were then?
17.
17.
Yeah.
See, it is terrifying, isn't it? But you would have felt so grown up.
I know. And of course, you didn't have your mobile devices then to sort of figure out stuff or ask AI questions or call mum or whatever. So it was really figuring it out and planning ahead of time.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, how was your mum feeling when you went off like that on your own?
I think she probably had more confidence in me. My dad would have been the one that would have been petrified, of the dangers out there for my daughter.
Yeah. But it's true, isn't it? They do. They must. I only realised since becoming a parent why they would have been worried. And at the time I'd be like, oh, chill out, relax. But you realise when you become a mum yourself.
I know. Well, my 14-year-old is like, Mum, it's okay. I'll walk from school into town and then I'll go, no. It's getting dark, like, no, I'm going to come and pick you up. I said, don't worry, Mum, I'll get an Uber. No, I'm picking you up. It's like, they think they know it all and they don't see the dangers.
And when, of all the places that you've been to, is there somewhere that's left a really incredible lasting impression on you?
Well, I lived in Bermuda for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So that
Hang on,
had
you lived in basically paradise
I
with
know,
beautiful,
how
crystal
crazy.
clear water and white sandy
I
beaches.
know, madness. My ex-partner worked in the city in finance, and they had offices in Bermuda. So we had the opportunity to work there, and I was like, well, how can you pass up that opportunity? So yeah, I lived out there, and I have to come home every 3 months because of visa thing. But it was just stunning, just bopping around on a scooter. Got the best tan ever. But I did a watercolor class to keep myself occupied and a photography course. So when I came back, I actually studied. I did a 2-year diploma in photography at Barking College, and started doing photography. So, I made the most of my time there, but not just laying on the beach.
Just added another string to your bow. It sounds like you have just done so much. I mean, it's every chapter of your life, you've added another kind of qualification along the way.
As I've got older, I've become a mature student. I think because when I went through school, I was dealing with dyslexia. But at the time, I didn't know I was, and neither did the teachers. So I was kind of brushed off and put at the back of the class, and she doesn't pay attention. She doesn't turn in her work correctly. Poor exam results, and they couldn't figure me out. I thought I was a good student. I was eager to learn, but I found there were so many challenges. I couldn't learn like everybody else, and then it was like everyone was expected just to toe the line. And there was a tutor that my dad got for me for my exams at the end of the year who just said, "You're wasting your time and your money. I wouldn't bother. She's not going to make anything of herself. It's just really just wasting your time." How shocking to be
Terrible.
told that. So I think I've always strived to keep learning. And I thought, I know I've got skills and talents in other areas. And so I've just kind of fallen into them and sort of just kept making the effort to broaden my horizon and just say yes to everything that comes along.
How shocking though to be, you want teachers to encourage you, don't you, along the way?
Or to find that there's something that you have, because everyone has something. And there are those teachers out there, of course, that recognise actually you're really great at problem solving, or you're really creative with art, or there's those teachers that are trained to spot that. And I'm now an ambassador of the British Dyslexia Association, and along with Jamie Oliver, we have this new pushing for this government change where they're actually giving every child the opportunity to be tested for dyslexia, because so many children are still falling through the gaps. And not only that, but also giving the correct training to teachers to recognise these areas and to have the skills to push them and teach them in areas where they're more adapt to learning.
Yeah, because you're right. Everyone will excel at something. And sometimes you don't find that till later on.
Yeah.
You might not find it till your 20s or your 30s.
Or your 50s and you become a police officer.
See, this is exactly true. There's a passion for everyone.
Yeah.
And you've just got to bide your time until you
Never
find
give
it.
up.
You never give up. As you have proven, you keep adding different things, which makes this interview even longer. But that's it. When did you go to Tanzania?
Tanzania, yeah, that's one other place that's really my heart and soul is there. And I said to the boys when we got to take them there the second time round, I said, if you want to ever know where mum is going to end up, this is the place.
What is it about Tanzania?
The culture and the light. I mean, as a photographer, it's stunning. I first went with Rod before I had children, and I remember him etching a heart and our initials in a tree. Before he said, "I love you," he wrote it in a tree. So it was all very romantic, and just like those movies kind of whisked away in your safari outfits across the Serengeti. And we said when we do have children, we must take them back. And we did. And we got to learn about the local tribes and the villages and go visit the schools. And I know my eldest would love to go back, not so much for the animals, but just it really touched him too.
Yeah. Sounds like Rod is very romantic, by the
He
way,
is.
as well. We will touch more on that. But first of all, I want to address the fact we're on this train to Edinburgh. Look, it's going to Aberdeen. We will get off in Edinburgh. Why have you chosen Edinburgh?
Well, my husband's father was born in Scotland. And Rod always says, Scotland is my soul and heart, you're in my heart, you're in my soul.
Love
Anyway,
it. I love
excuse the
it.
singing.
No, I love it. Keep going.
So, yeah, I mean, he supports Celtic. So my boys have been brought up on the traditions of Scotland, and we spend New Year in Scotland. But Edinburgh is where our boys were christened. And the priest that christened them, we had Alistair before we got married, but we flew him to Italy, and he was there to do the service at our wedding. And then there came Aidan, and he was christened in Edinburgh too. So wants to keep some kind of memory of Scotland in his parents. So,
Yeah, it's lovely. I mean, it's really nice. Do you get to spend a lot of time in Scotland?
Not as much as the boys. The boys go up with Rod all the time to watch the Celtic, of course, and they love golf. So they go up to Scotland and play golf a lot. But it's stunning countryside. It is beautiful.
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, I am entirely biased, but it is beautiful and stunning up there as well. And we did touch on the fact that Rod is romantic. And as you said, you flew the priest out to Italy because your wedding, I mean, you got married, wasn't it? Am I right in saying Portofino?
Yes, there's a bay around from Portofino called St. Margherita.
Oh, wow.
And we wanted to sort of find a hideaway because there was only 100 guests. It was a small-ish wedding. And we'd been waiting long enough. Hence our first song was At Last by Etta James. Because it did feel like it was a long journey to get where we were. And it was very romantic. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And this is what we're going to say. Also, sticking with trains, you have been back to Portofino on the train. I mean,
Yes.
this is luxury like nothing else.
I know. Well, there's a beautiful hotel in Portofino called the Splendido. It's part of the Belmont Group, and they have a train, part of the Orient Express. And I was looking into it because Rod, of course, has a love for trains. He's a railway modeler enthusiast. And harking back to the old days, reminiscing about the steam era, steam engines. And so I saw that the Orient Express had put on a new route from Paris to Portofino. I'm like, oh, Rod proposed to me in Paris, and we got married in Portofino. So, and the timing was perfect because they do the journey twice a year, and it was in June, the month we got married. So we took that journey together.
What an amazing experience as well. What God, just the two of you.
Just the two of us. And it was when I was pregnant with Alistair, my first, after Rod had proposed to me, we wanted to revisit Paris. So we took the train from London, King's Cross to Paris because, get to a certain point you can't fly. So we love a train journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all very convenient as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's just
absolutely.
super easy from that point of view. Oh, these train journeys are, quite amazing though. Totally beautiful and such an experience.
It's an iconic train, of course, and so luxurious. And it's black tie in the evening. And it was funny because the note in a room was, if you don't desire to adhere to the dress code of black tie for this evening, you're more than welcome to stay in your carriage and we'll serve you there. But everybody gets into the mood and all dresses up, and it's wonderful.
Yeah. And you mentioned that Rod loves railways, and years ago, I tried to remember when it was I came to your place in LA. Must have been, 15 years ago,
Yes.
maybe even more than that. And I came to interview Rod, and he was busy at the time. So we were all chatting and we were setting up to do the interview, and he was busy with his model railway. Am I right in saying he has an enormous model railway at home?
Yes, it was in Los Angeles, and it took the entire length of the loft space.
Wow.
And it's like his den. It's where he's most content. And it's another avenue for him creatively. And he's like a master at it. In lockdown, we were in the UK, and we didn't know how long that lockdown was going to last. And he didn't have his trains. And it couldn't work. So he was like pacing. And I said, we've got to get these trains over. So he went, is it possible? I said, no, it's not. I said, you to give all the film sets and the people that have to work on moving sets about and creating cities and things like that. I said, I'm sure they could break it down. And
He had to trust them to do that.
trust them to break it down. And I think he had cameras set up so he could watch it all. and then they moved it into these containers and then on ships over to the UK. Now it's in a pride and joy in very large containers in our backfields.
Wow. I mean, it's almost like art, really, isn't it?
It is, yeah, absolutely. It's all set in the sort of wartime 40s, 50s period, and it's sort of based on like New York, Chicago, not one particular city, but those American cities, yeah.
Is this something your boys have got an interest in, or is this one of those things that all kids are like, oh, God?
Well, they've all had a dabble at it just to get some extra pocket money. So, like painting, putting blinds in the windows, but no one's grabbed the enthusiasm, and no one's it's his hobby only.
Okay, well, I mean, that's great. That means that nobody's going to ruin it by touching or
Exactly,
putting it in the
yeah.
wrong place.
I mean, being out on tour with Rod, it was always a nightmare because he'd have a separate room just for the trains because he'd be dealing
he takes them on
paint.
tour.
Yeah. Takes them out in like flight cases and he'll take various different kits and then build his own like buildings from it. So he'll take paints and glues and knives and so that not great for kids, like little toddlers running around. So he'd have a sort of a lock and bolt on that door, like nobody could go into the train room unsupervised.
How fascinating. When I was growing up, my dad did the same with trams. We're from Glasgow and they're Glasgow trams. So he had a tram collection and he painted them all. And then he did paintings of the trams. And we would all be like, oh my God. They're stunning though now. I appreciate all his effort now.
Yeah.
But at the time, I'd just be like, oh, here we go. That and Sabutio, they're his hobbies. But yeah, it's impressive.
Rod always says every man needs a job, a sport and a hobby. They've got to tick those boxes.
Well, I think it's probably very true, to be fair. Now, let's talk about your book. Okay, it's Someone Like Me. It's very honest. I mean, you talk a lot about personal moments from IVF, dyslexia. We talk about that in there. And there's mentions of mental health and menopause, and there are cancer diagnoses and managing fame as well. I mean, there's so much in there. It must have been quite cathartic. Did it feel like therapy, writing it all out?
You know what? It has, because there was one time in my life that I did decide to seek some therapy, but it was 3 hours of just bawling my eyes out. And I thought, hang on, there's other people I need to look after at the moment. It was when Rod was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and I had confronted a demon from the past and spoke about when I was attacked on the way to school. And then subsequently at 17, when I first started modelling, my drink was spiked and I was sexually assaulted. It all came out at once, and I wasn't coping very well. So I was put on a short course of antidepressants, and as I say, I sought some therapy, but I thought, I can't unfold all this right now. I need to look after Rod and stay strong for him. But somehow writing this book and going back to the past and revisiting it in real detail, and then understanding how I might be able to help others cope with what they've gone through, and realizing it is pretty much why I am where I am now, why I decided to do policing, why I want to look after the safety of other women and stand up for the safety of women, women's health and all of that. So it's all making sense to me now, and how I've used some of those traumatic moments as strengths for my future.
Yeah. What you're doing with the police is just fascinating. So you're a special constable for the City of London Police. And am I right in saying, did you work at the Queen's funeral?
Yeah.
And the coronation?
Yeah.
I mean, these are very special memories.
Oh, extremely special. I mean, Rod and I have supported the King's Trust, which of course was the Prince's Trust, for over 20 years. And so we've been lucky enough to be at a lot of events and sat next to the King and been in conversation with the Queen. More recently, she was wanting to know more about my work in policing because she is a patron of Safe Lives. And actually, Safe Lives and the College of Policing work together to produce a program to help police officers recognise domestic abuse and better deal with that. So, it was sort of pinch me moment of, being on that side of the relationship. And then as a police officer, the pledge that you make to the Queen, to the Crown, and now the King, and being there for the Queen's funeral. And then, of course, being there for the celebrations of the coronation in uniform was just amazing.
I love that you did this, though. What was it that triggered you to kind of go, right, I'm going to go and be a special?
Well, I think at the age of 50, hitting menopause, and it happened to be during lockdown, I think a lot of people restocked their lives and thought, okay, where am I at? Where do I want to go? And I think menopausal women feel like they need to reinvent themselves. And it's so that the timing was just right. And I'd been invited and fortunate enough to have been in a TV program called Famous and Fighting Crime, where household names got involved in being on the front line, working with regular police officers and specials. My mind was opened up completely to the work that they do and the sacrifices they make. And they all recognize that they do it because they feel they can make a difference. And I'm like, I do charity work, but I never feel it's like enough. And I thought, this is like real life, like out there, front line, and realizing that specials have their day-to-day job and then they give up their spare time to do this. And I thought I could do the training and I could give up one day a week and be a special. So I started doing the training and it all just fell in place from there.
And the thing is, it's genuinely, you did it for real, because a lot of people would have gone at the start, oh yeah, you're probably just doing little bits that you want to do, but you actually threw yourself in properly as well.
Yeah, I passed out. I swore allegiance to, and got my badge, and I'm out on duties. I'm actually doing the Lord Mayor's show in a few weeks' time. And remember, it's Sunday. I did the London Marathon. And more recently, there's an Operation Reframe where we put a welfare tent out at Liverpool Street Station. And it was rolled out 4 years ago for the safety of women. Along with Ask for Angela, which is a method used if anyone feels distressed and in a vulnerable position. Say, for instance, in a bar, they could go up to any member of staff and ask for Angela, and that's a cue for the members of staff to call the police or to help that person get a taxi home who is feeling vulnerable. It's now rolled out more so now. We have a safety van for anyone. Nighttime economy on their way home from work that feels unsafe, that's lost their friends, that's had one too many to drink, or been spiked, or feel like they're being stalked, or so it's it feels really good to be out there doing that.
Yeah, it's great that you are. You really wear your heart on your sleeve, don't you? I mean, this is the thing, when you release a book though, like this, do you get a bit nervous and worried about reactions, or do you just have to kind of just go with it?
Well, I've always been true to myself. You know, when I met Rod and I had to navigate my way through that blended family and the ex-wives and all the children. I mean, the youngest was 5 at the time and the eldest was 21. And 25 years later, where we couldn't be closer with one another. But it was a case of just sort of taking my time, showing empathy, imagining what it was like to be in their shoes. And I feel like the work that I've done so far on Loose Women and the odd interview and touching on stories, how the positive response I've had from the public, I thought, well, if it's all in a book, and if I'm as authentic and true as I can be, then hopefully that will sort of come back in a positive light, and I've been very pleased.
Yeah, it's been so well received. I mean, quite rightly too. Although I have no idea how you found the time to write it, because you were so busy.
Well, actually, I injured myself. I damaged my knee. I tore my meniscus, so I had to be signed off duty, which really concerned me. And so I kind of had a bit of extra time to
You're like, but it's good, because otherwise you probably wouldn't have sat still long enough to do it.
Yeah, everything happens for a reason.
It does, indeed, indeed. Do you ever get to travel in the UK? I mean, obviously, you are going everywhere all the time. You have what looks like an incredibly glamorous life. But then here in the UK, do you ever go, do you know what, let's just go on a mini break or a staycation or something in the UK?
Well, I mean, other than going up to Scotland, I mean, I remember when I first met Rod, we would take the kids down to Southend, because that was a place I used to travel when, as a kid, and with my grandparents and stuff. And so we would take ours down there and go, this is where Mummy used to come when I was younger, and have the stick of rock.
Oh,
and
yeah. Classic fish and chips.
And the fish and chips and the candy floss and those like the most incredible hot donuts that come out of that sizzling fat with all the cinnamon on and things in the Peter Pan's playground and that kind of thing. But yeah, it's hard to like get our feet on the ground when, in between Rod's touring and catching up with the kids in America.
Yeah. It's funny, isn't it, how British holiday resorts were always kind of like everything that you ate was based around sugar.
Yes.
So long, and it's so good. It's like fudge and
Yes.
rock and everything. And right now, you have got homes in quite a few places. I said I came to visit you in LA. Obviously, you've got the UK. Where is your home? I mean, you've got houses everywhere, but where's home for you?
Home is definitely here in the countryside in England. We're fortunate enough to have enough land that we have 3 horses, 3 goats, 3 dogs, and loads of chickens. There's lots of babies. Always, if the eggs aren't taken quick enough, we have little chicks running around, and so a whole menagerie of animals. And for me, is when I'm if I'm feeling a little stressed or things are getting on top of me, it's taking those long walks with the dogs, being in the country, being amongst nature. We have honey hives. We have our bees to produce our honey, and just being amongst nature. Yeah, just love it there.
I know you love your dogs as well. They feature quite a lot in the book as well. There's quite a few pictures of them as well.
Yeah, my doggies. So we had our lovely Bubbles, who sadly passed away about 6 months ago, and our Battersea rescue, Lily. And now we went back to the same breeder as Bubbles, and we have Cavapoos, and we have these 2 little puppy Cavapoos. And Mummy Lily is doing a very good job with them, putting them in their place and showing them the ropes.
Oh, very good. Oh, it's heartbreaking when you lose a dog, isn't it?
Oh, the pain. I've never felt anything like it.
I know. And people that don't have a dog don't get it. And when you get a pet and you lose it.
But it's just the innocence, and they will do anything for you, and they follow you everywhere. And it's that unconditional love.
Yeah, absolutely. We're nearly at the end of this, but before we go, we do like to ask everyone who's come on this what you have learned about yourself as a traveller.
Well, I've learned that one must be extremely organised, especially when you're travelling with the family. And Kimberly, Rod's daughter, she has a company called The Realm, and she set it up during lockdown, and she's the organised queen. Everything in her house, like her wardrobe, is colour coordinated, and she literally goes into people's houses, especially when they're moving, and reorganises everything, the kitchen, the closets,
That's
whatever.
a dream.
So she gave me as a gift those travel pouches, those little zip-up boxy things that go in. Because, sometimes you might be staying in a hotel just for a night or 2 and you don't want to completely unpack. So you can just take the little pouches out. And so I find that's a really great kind of trick to do. And even like have an overnight case separate from the main case, so you're not pulling everything out.
How handy to have Kimberly do that.
I know.
I'd be like, can you come and visit?
Yes, please.
Again?
Labelling everything. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
That's like the dream. But you need time to do that.
Exactly. I mean, lockdown was when everyone was like reorganising there and doing the big clear outs. And so that's where she got the inspiration from.
Such a good idea. Well, listen, Penny, thank you so much for coming on and for joining me on Roots with LNER. Penny's new book, Someone Like Me, is out now. And if you like what you've heard today, why not rate and review wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure you give us a follow too, and look out for Penny's Quiet Coach episode, which will be out very soon indeed. Skip the roadblock for snooze o'clock. With LNER, it's freedom all the way. Roots from LNER, a Distorted production.